to the in. All right. This is Bayelsa. They were taking our audio. We shall return as soon as we are able to get the audio from Yenagua. For now, let's begin to look at why do we have this delay. When we had the general elections, at least 24 hours after the elections, we had started to see governorship election results being announced. Jide, what do you think accounts for this uncertainty in the announcement of results?
Well, it's better to hurry slowly under the circumstance. Election is a very sensitive activity, and any error of the mind or error of the heart could be very costly. We've seen judiciary nullifying election results for even something that akin to collating results in a wrong place. And if you are looking at Bayelsa, yes, 6 out of 8 local government have been collated. Southern Ijo is the biggest, and it's entirely underwater. So you need to understand the geographic, the environmental challenge of even having result of those places collated. So, and there are places in Bayelsa, from what I've learned. I've been there, but not on the water, on the ices. I've been to where Yenagua, which is the upland, to observe election. But I've been reliably told there are places, local government entirely on water, and it takes an average of 6 hours going to those places. Now, INEC deployed. And now this is about reverse logistics. Reverse logistics is even more challenging than deployment, because everybody had cast their vote, they've gone. It's now you.
It's now night time.
Night time and all of that. So INEC had instructed, from what I gathered, instructed that there should be no return late in the night, because anything can happen. So obviously, by the time they finish, and there are 3 layers of, at least 3 layers of collation. From polling units, you move to the first collation point, which is the ward level. From ward, you move to local government. From local government, now you move to state, which is the final collation point. Now you cannot abridge any of these processes. And if you recall that during this election, INEC taught us something that they were of the opinion that will work to their advantage, but which eventually, in my own estimation, did not work out well. In deploying, they did not deploy to local government. They deployed directly from Yenagua Central Bank down to the registration area center, that's RAC, to fast track the commencement of voting and all of that. Because according to them, there are local government that when you deploy to move from that local government to a registration area could take 4 hours. So for that reason, they circumvent the local government. But the law is on their side that they could do that. But now, reverse logistics, you cannot circumvent those collation stages. No matter how tenuous, how equivalent it is, you need to, because any attempt to short circuit those processes can lead to litigation and nullification of that result. So it's better the commission takes the actual processes and procedure for collation and making sure that it's on sure legal footing at the end of the day.
If this excuse looks tenable and understandable for the riverine Bayelsa state.
How about
Kogi, where the last two local governments are metropolitan local governments, so to say, Lokoja and Ibaji. These are not far-fetched. What?
I think
at risk of speculating, if we have solid information, what would be happening?
Just to add my voice to what Jide has said and to point out the fact that there are also security concerns. You know, apart from the environmental issues, there are security concerns also, and particularly in Kogi, there have been news reports about pockets of violence here and there, and like Jide said, we need to be very careful and all of that. But having said that, I think what has happened in Bayelsa and in Kogi again underscore the need for us to revisit this, how do I put it other than to say the moribund Electoral Act, you know, that was passed last year, right?
No, the last amendment was actually in 2015.
2015. No, but I mean the one that the president declined signature.
Okay,
the one the president declined signature. So there is a need to revisit it and, you know, short-circuit this manual processes of, you know, collation and going from one stage to the other, like Jide has.
Is there anything in that amendment that would take care of this holistically for Nigeria?
Well, there's the electronic, if I'm not mistaken.
That apply everywhere in Nigeria?
Well, not everywhere, but for elections, I want to look at Bayelsa and Kogi elections as special elections.
Okay,
so you can see the... Okay.
Yes, I'm told that Yenogwa or Lagos, Bayelsa is ready for us, and we'll just go back there straight now.
40520. 40520.
Go right again, please.
From the first one. Sir? Total number of valid votes 39911. 39911.
Then
that I will shoot. Okay, I go over them again.
please go. Do that, please.
All right. Number of registered voters 125,189. 125,189. Number of accredited voters 41423. 41423. Party A 23. Party A 23. AAC 01. AAC 01. AD 0. AD 0. ADP 03. ADP 03. AGAP AGAP 0. AGAP 0. ANP ANP 2. ANP sorry, ANP 5. No, sorry. Okay, 2. Sorry, gentlemen. All right, let me stand. Sorry. Yes, it was really traumatic today. So Yes, we almost escaped before we came. Now, ANP. 6. 5. ANP 5.
No.
APC 21489.
Take it, Prof. Relax, Please.
You are safe, don't worry. Calm down. Don't be too traumatic. Can we the guys have been too traumatic? Now what that call you are confirmed.
Forgive my water will get ice.
Papers of my head. Can I bring here for you? Now. Let somebody else.
Hello.
ANP 2. ANP 2. APN 5. APA. Which one?
Hello. Please, one house.
No.
Yeah, it was
ANP, all right, thank you, thanks. ANP is 2. APA 5. APA 5, thank you. APC 21489. 21489. APGA 4. APM 1. APP 1. ASD 1. BNPP 0. CAP 0. CNP ASD 0. ASD 0. Don't worry, I will jump to like
ASD is that one.
ASD 0, please.
Allow this man, he will confuse more.
BNPP, yes. It's okay, I'm relaxed now. Yes, very traumatic. Okay. Is it correct now?
No, go on, yeah.
Okay. Valid votes 39911. Yes, I'm sure. 39911. Rejected votes 609. Rejected votes 609. Total valid vote cast 40520. Total votes cast 40520.
Very traumatic.
Yes. In Tarakiri Ward 1, 3 polling units were cancelled with a total of registered voters of 1,512. In Oyakiri 1, code 02, 4 polling units were cancelled with a total vote of 2798. Oyakiri 2, code 03, 4 polling units were cancelled with a total of registered voters of 2191. Oyakiri 3, code 04, 8 polling units were cancelled with a total of 3590. 3590. Ayakri 3, code 05. No polling units were cancelled. Oparamo 1, code 06. 7 polling units were cancelled with a total of 6788. 6788. Oparamo 2, code 07. 2 polling units were cancelled with a total of 955 registered voters. 955. Oparamo 3, 08. We have code 08. 7 polling units were cancelled with a total of 5106 registered voters. Oparamo 4, code 09. 5 polling units were cancelled with a total of 5211. Oparamo 5, code 10. No polling units were cancelled. Eduwini 1, code 11. No polling units were cancelled. Eduwini 2, ward 12. All polling units were cancelled with a total of 14,473. Yes, this is because all the materials were carted away at the rack center even before they were distributed. So none got to the polling unit. But we have reports, there were protest letters by one of the parties that actual voting took place. And they gave in their information. But we have good information because when the EO and the supervising EO who came to supervise the election came in, he was immediately informed about the situation, that the materials were carted away and so none got to the polling unit. But one of the party, however, protested and insisted that voting took place. So I asked them to submit their letter of, they call it a letter of information, which I have attached to the results. Thank you.
Prof, thank you so much. Because it's very difficult terrain. So, I hope everything is contained in your 40G.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Together with the write-up.
Yes.
Okay. So you come and submit your. Madam. Sure.
Good evening, everybody. I remain Pastor Mrs. P. Sorama, State Agent, Allied People Movement, APM. Prof, I commend you very much. My observation this night is that we're in a very serious business. You might be correct, but you're repeating and repeating. We'll be giving suspicion to the minds of Bayelsa State, as I'm talking to you. So please, whenever you are called upon to do anything, please do the needful. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Madam. iPad.
Team protocols. I present Labour Party. I think I have to commend the process because I'm sorry to say this because over the years in this collation center, people fight over results, and in the first time in the collation center where everybody is very, very okay with the results. In every contest, one person must win election. My party also participated, and I will not say that because my party didn't win, and I will go to court. In every contest, one person must win election. We are all Bayelsans, and in as much as we are all part of this process, I want to commend the process. And as other speakers said previously, there have not been other crises across Bayelsa State. It has been very peaceful. I want to commend the process. This is how elections are going to be conducted, and people are accepted. I think that it's okay. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody here present. My name is His Highness Gwegwe Righteous Okwebi, Agent SNC. In fact, I want to still commend everybody here present, the INEC, the military people, and I'm here to say that this land of Epiatisa, the land of Bayelsa State, is happy with all of us, with you. The pensioners are happy. The civil servants, the market women, they are all happy. They are watching us out there. They are all happy with this process. They are happy with the conduction of this election. Thank you.
Thank you. The man, the rubber man. Which? Okay.
Hello, good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Ikimi Enebrade Silas is my name, state agent for the United Democratic Party. Well, as had been declared by the returning officer from Ikirimo, with the records of Abinia, I think it's in tandem, and I want to affirm the outcome of the elections. I think in good faith, we are not going to go to court like the previous speaker just spoke about. We are happy, everybody is happy in this state as to the outcome of these elections. I want to commend all the agencies of government that has made this possible for us in this state. I am a South Region local government area. In fact, my immediate ward, Ward 13 precisely, happened to be a very serious security flashpoint. The SSS can bear me witness to what I am making here. That happened to be the tale of one of the most notorious militants in this state, with particular reference to Prince Igodo. I want to commend you. In fact, Governor Dixon, in his wisdom, had thought for to have planted a militant again, whom he thought would have perhaps resorted to go running again, and they have failed woefully. Woefully, yes. I commend you. May God bless all of you that has brought about this peace in this state. Thank you all, and God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. You want? Yeah, Professor Ravi, you can submit your work, huh?
Very traumatic.
myself. Thank you so much. I want to thank you all for we've spent so much time here today. So we have come to the end of the presentation. So I want to thank every one of you, those that went to the field, and those that the journalists and what have you. So I want to thank you for staying back, listening to the result. So it's now time to the paperwork. So probably you just give us some time by outside. Then by the time we are through, we will invite everybody here. No, we are trying to collate, to write paperwork, to do the final write-up. By the time we are done with that one, we will now give the result. Okay? So that we can declare the winner. So just give us some time to do. It's not ready to. It's about 11 now. I'm sure before 1 a.m. I said before 1 a.m. we'll be done. We will be done. I'm sure before 12 we'll be here. But so
the 8 local governments in Bayelsa State have been completed. They will now go and begin to compute and collate the 8 local governments into one major and bulk result that will then be announced. Let's do a review of Ekeremo local government, the 8th local government that has just been announced. 125,189 voters registered in that local government. And during this election, only 41,423 registered or were accredited. They were accredited, and then that's the valid votes were 39,000, just about 40,000 valid votes, and that is quite a shortfall from the number of registered voters. Mike, from 125,000 to accredited voters of 41,000, we have seen enthusiasm, serious enthusiasm in Bayelsa, other local governments. But in Ekeremo local government, there didn't seem to be that reflection in the terms of figures of people who came. But of course, this looks like the normal figure we always have in other elections. What do you have to say about this figure?
Well, I mean, a lot has been said right from the time of the general election about voter apathy and things like that. But I think particularly with Bayelsa and Ekeremo local government, it's about security, really. I think there were real concerns even before the election around the security of the ballot environment, and this may have played a part in what we are seeing. You know, it's unfortunate that 20 years into the practice of our current democratic dispensation, we still have issues with security around basic electoral processes, basic democratic processes like election, you know. One hopes that this will be an exception rather than the rule, and we understand the situation in Bayelsa. And my appeal, I was mentioning this to Jide just before we came on set, the attitude of politicians to power. You know,
that's the winning figure. In Ekeremo local government, 21,000, and that is historic in Bayelsa. It begins to mark a change. It begins to mark a change of trajectory.
Party in power.
Exactly, change of power. You know, well, normally we would expect that this is the party that will take the shine in Bayelsa, but it has fallen about going to
a little less than 3,000
behind APC. Jide.
No surprise really for close watchers of Bayelsa politics. Power is changing hands, and it will seem like PDP fortune in Bayelsa has waned considerably. Their electoral fortune, and it didn't start today. For close watchers of Bayelsa politics, you will see that even during the last general elections held in February, March, out of the 3 senatorial districts, APC was in control of 1, PDP in control of 2. Out of the 5 House of Reps positions, APC was in control of 2, PDP 3. Out of 24 State House of Assembly position, you have 4-member PDP, 4 APC, and 20 PDP. Now, something has transpired, which is the rancor generated by the party primaries held in September.
You are going into a particular area that may take us time to analyze. That, while you are discussing what happened in PDP, we can also use that to discuss the internal party democratic setting. how democratic are our political parties? Somebody sits and says, this candidate must be, and he is made it. When are we going to, is that democracy?
It is not democracy. It was CDD, Dayat Azan, that used the word gunpoint democracy yesterday during the press conference that we are witnessing a gunpoint democracy. And it starts from the party primaries. When either an individual or gatekeepers decide that it is Femi that is going, irrespective of what all the delegates feel, it is him. So you skewed the entire process in his favor. And that is what played out in PDP and APC in Bayelsa. In PDP, you recall that Timi Alaibe was more like the favorite of the delegates. But countryman governor, Sereke Dixon, had other thoughts and felt, look, it's Doyediri, that is my man. And whatever permutations, because I also realized that there were clamor for power shift in Bayelsa to Kolokuma Upokuma. Incidentally, from my findings shows that even Timi Alaibe is also from that local government. But it's about preferred choice of the godfather. And that is why we are, according to late Klodaki, Nigeria is running democracy without Democrats. Even if you are a godfather and you feel that this is your preferred candidate, you market him. Exactly. Market him. But don't overtly orchestrate the process in his favor. We do not know what the court will rule eventually when it rules on the matter that has been brought before it by Timi Alaibe. It's just that they were lucky. There was no decision, there was no judgment on Friday. Maybe what happened to APC could have happened to it. But, you know, unfortunately for PDP, even at the center is not holding. There is Godson, Godfather, even among the ranks of National Working Committee. You will see the DG of PDP, DG of PDP Governors Forum, asking Oshiomhole to cause the caucus or the National Executive.
Let me take a break here. Let's go to Lokoja, where Nnamdi is waiting. Ifeanyi Okafor, is waiting to give us updates. The fact that the collation in Kogi State has been shifted to 9 o'clock to recommence at 9 o'clock is not a reason why we should think that issues are still not coming up. And so Ifeanyi Okafor is standing by to give us updates on things that are happening in Lokoja there.
Thank you so much. We're here in Lokoja, actually in the INEC office, Lokoja here. And it's actually slowly and surely progressing, and the destination is actually in sight. It all started with Omala local government area, and gradually until the Kina local government area. In all, 19 local government areas were announced, with the last two hopefully coming in tomorrow, Monday the 18th of November. Of course, the declaration of who becomes the next governor of Kogi State will then follow. But I have here with me Hamza Aliu. He's a domestic election observer. He has been following through with all the processes, and he's here to share some of his views on what he has observed with us here. You're welcome to our Kogi Decide studio.
Thank you, Ifeanyi, for having me.
Okay, yes, Hamza, like we said, it has actually been a long and eventful experience, not only for INEC, not only for the voters as well, the political parties and candidates, but also for observers and other partners in the process, just like you.
Yes, like you said, it has been a long and very hard process that didn't just begin yesterday. Like we all all knew, it began on the 16th of May 2019 when INEC announced their timetable and schedule for the elections. We are glad that we are coming to the end of the process itself. He also mentioned that 2 local governments are left, and it interests us to know that these 2 local governments have one particular thing in common, because large parts of these local governments are riverine, and they have very difficult terrains. Lokoja, most people think Lokoja is just Lokoja Township, but actually politically Lokoja has 2 political components, Lokoja 1 and 2, and why we have delay in Lokoja is because of that Lokoja 2. Lokoja 2 has 5 wards. 3 of them are almost impossible to reach, and so it takes a lot of process to come from those difficult areas. Ibaji is almost waterlogged, and because of that, it's difficult to get into Ibaji and come out. And so that is why we have these 2 last local governments coming last in terms of getting their results in for the coalition to be completed. But yes, we're happy that by this time tomorrow, we should have a good idea of who has won the elections, and then we'll be looking at reviewing the process itself, all the stakeholders that were involved, and then we'll look at all the processes that went through the electionary and the voting itself, and then we'll walk towards going forward the next 4 years. How do we improve on the system?
Okay, yes, Hamza, you would recall that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, had started this exercise, obviously, with a very careful structural plan of activities, which has dovetailed to what we have seen today. Now, looking at the entire process, what's your reaction to what they have been doing so far?
Yes, we have been following INEC right from when they brought out the timetable to say this is the schedule of what activities they are going to be carrying out up to leading to the elections itself. And at each point, we have to give kudos to the umpire, the INEC itself, because they are always engaging stakeholders at every point in time to tell, to inform people what they are doing and what next steps they are also going to follow. And they are also very receptive to criticism in terms of making the process better. And we are very glad that this particular elections, there were a lot of engagement from INEC itself with stakeholders. We had a lot of meetings, a lot of advocacy discussions concerning the process itself. And so, up to the eve of the elections, we still had engagement with INEC, the civil society had engagement with INEC, the observers had engagement with INEC. They met with the traditional rulers, met with the religious institutions, just to ensure that everyone is carried along in the process itself. And so we were glad that on the eve of the election, the logistics for the process itself was well planned out. We were part of those who went observing how they distributed their sensitive and non-sensitive materials. And so yes, we will say we'll give the umpire a pass mark. Of course, we had issues concerning the election day itself. A lot of challenges were posed, probably challenges that the umpire did not envisage. Sometimes it could be challenges from other stakeholders that were involved in the process. But overall, we will say yes, we have come to a point where we are about to end the process and collect the results and announce who has eventually won the election. So yes, of course, our electoral process is a work in progress. We need to evolve gradually as we go through it, and there are challenges along the lines that we need to overcome going forward in the next elections that we're going to conduct.
Yeah, but having gone around town, you have viewed what has been happening around. Has anything changed now? Are things now calm and relaxed?
It will be very uncharitable of us if we say that the whole process was fair and there were no issues. Election day itself, we the observers were looking out for things like the startup process, how early were the INEC officials, the staffs, were the electorate properly informed on the process itself, did the polls open up on time, were the smart card readers working, the accreditation, how easy was it, the voting process, all those processes that leads to credible elections, and we observed those processes, and we were glad that as at 10 a.m. more than 85% of polls had opened. And so it was a good sign for us. Even though there were pockets of challenges in terms of getting materials to certain wards, getting materials to certain polling units, yes, but they were isolated incidences, and we were happy that because of the communication we had with the umpire itself, the INEC, it was easy for us to communicate and let them know. So overall, the election day process itself, we will say, yes, something changed in terms of the perception of the electorate. There was this willingness to participate in the process. INEC engaged a lot of the electorate, from civil society to community leaders, like I said before, and people were willing to come out. And we saw that in the slight increase in the turnout of voters for this particular election. And so that gave us encouragement that if we keep at this pace, it's possible that we'll get to a point where we'll get a lot of our electorate to understand that this is the process we want to lead, we want to use in terms of electing our leadership and governing ourselves. So yes, we may not have gotten everything we want to get right, but I think for now, the electorate is becoming aware that the process is an evolving one, and it's a process that they should engage very well.
So in other words, in terms of voter education and all that, there was actually not much lethargy or apathy in terms of voter turnout.
The quantum of stakeholders involved in it, the INEC engaged in it, for this time around, it was an appreciable number in terms of those stakeholders, civil society who were engaged in it, community leaders who were engaged in it, and just the sheer quantum of number of activities that INEC conducted on its way towards voter education showed us that there was a change in the mindset, that they understood that they need to engage the people, that the people and the citizens were the most important aspect or most important stakeholders in this process, and that they need to mobilize them to ensure that the quantum of resources we are putting in elections at the end of the day pays off, because we are spending so much on our democratic experiments and democratic voting system that we need to start engaging the economic aspect of our elections. And I think the INEC has been able to understand that they need to engage the electorate. And for this particular election, I will say definitely that the umpire had done a lot in terms of voter education and voter mobilization.
Okay, let's look at, you talked about the logistics. Now, looking at the logistics and also the technical successes this time around, how do you juxtapose that vis-a-vis the general elections which held earlier on in 2019?
If we just look at the voter education component of it, the general elections, it was just an average voter education and voter mobilization effort. Very few stakeholders were involved in it, probably because of the huge logistics involved in that general election. But for this particular election, there was more dedicated resources in terms of getting stakeholders to be involved in the process, letting them understand the process. And INEC even made an effort in terms of getting civil society to be the ones who will engage the electorate. And so, yes, there was a lot of efforts made. Maybe if we had done it, if we engaged this system a longer period of time before the elections, we could have had better results. But it's something that we can build on going further, that we need to engage the system early enough, engage the electorate early enough, so that they begin to understand that voter turnout is also a component of the electoral system, and that it's not just that they're not doing the system a favor. It is part of their constitutional responsibility. Yes, we need to engage the system better, and the umpire has really made an effort, and it's something that we need to build on.
Okay, now Hamza, collation and announcement of results so far is exceedingly successful. Fairly rank-or-free, 19 local government areas that were announced and now going to progress. Now, do you expect much disputes?
Yes, we do really expect disputes, because the process itself, on the election day itself, we're not really marred by logistics issue, but rather by the violence that broke out in certain areas within the state itself. Local governments like Lokoja, Dekina, Angpa, Kababunu, Ijumu, these are local governments that we had spotted earlier on. We had mapped them, and we've identified them as flashpoints, and we've discussed with INEC in terms of how do we mitigate some of these violent tendencies. Not violence in terms of that they naturally have these tendencies to be violent. No, rather because of the vested interests in these local governments that make them volatile areas. Again, we engage the local governments again, whether both at this INEC level and security level and stakeholders level, to ensure that we mitigate this violence. Unfortunately for us, that became the yardstick, that became the cornerstone of the election itself. Anybody that witnessed this election will have to come out with the fact that the violence that was accommodated or that sprang up on the election day was something that, in as much as we knew there was going to be violence, it took everybody unawares because it was more of a coordinated attempt at blackmailing the system. And this, I agree with one of your commentators in the studio that said politicians have not yet learned anything about the system. Political parties are still behaving as if they are still in 2003 to 1999. They have not learned that the system is not about them. The system is about the people. The people are the ones who make the system. And we have not engaged the political parties enough. They're still behaving like as if they're a band of people who do not have a stake in the system. And so I think going forward, we need to, yes, we've engaged the electorate. A lot of awareness is being created, but we're still not engaging the weakest link, which is the political parties and the politicians. This violence that was perpetrated on this election were not done by any other stakeholders apart from politicians, apart from political parties and their candidates. And we had tried our best to ensure that we engage them before the election to say, please, can we begin to discuss about having peaceful elections? We never had any political party that had its members together, brought its members and said, we are a peace-loving political party, we must be peaceful in our conduct. We never had it. They never called anybody for any meetings. They never discussed anything. They were more interested in how do they win elections on the election day, rather than how do they make the process a very good one going forward. And so I think we need to engage this particular link that we are missing. We are missing on how do we engage the political parties to ensure that they are the face, because constitutionally we cannot engage the electoral system except through the political parties. Obviously. And they are the ones that are causing this problem for us. And so the process itself was marred by violence, and this will play out in, of course, we saw it playing out when the coalition was started. Anytime a result is announced, you see the opposition party or you see the winning party, whoever it is, getting up to challenge those results. Yes. Because they knew that the process had challenges.
Okay, yes. But how do we now begin to heal the wounds caused by the process that we have seen? The ballot box actually is the sanctity, protecting the sanctity of the ballot box.
Post-election issues are something that we had not properly articulated going to this election. We all looked at the issue of pre-election issues, we looked at election day issues. Post-election issues, especially the violence that comes out from post-election issues, is something that we are trying to now grapple with. And you can see that the politicians, yet they are the ones who are the weakest link in this chain. We need to be able to say, no matter what the outcome of the elections are, we need to accept it, so the system will be better. If we have issues, we have recourse to taking legal the legal part of it and saying, let us ensure that we take the right course of going to the courts to address our issues, rather than taking up self-help. And this is what we are hoping that political parties will begin to understand. Yes, we're just at the end of the coalition period. We know that after coalition, whoever wins has a lot of work to do, because we still have issues of those who are not happy with the outcome of the elections. How will they feel? Will they accept that they were treated fairly? Was the system fair enough to them? And do they have that freedom to take their case to the legal courts and find justice? This is what we need to begin to teach our politicians, because the next generation of politicians are watching this group of persons that are playing out this act. We need to ensure that they learn that the process also includes a post-election issue, post-election environment that we need to be able to say it has its cost and it has a fair outcome for everybody.
Now, definitely, of course, the Independent National Electoral Commission has streamlined the rules and procedure for peaceful, credible, and successful polls. But as it would seem, do you advocate a kind of a change of strategy to ensure that we have a more peaceful process?
Like I said, we have not engaged the political parties well enough. They seem not to understand. We gave them the rules. INEC give them the rule. They put them in papers. They make it in posters. They make it in billboards. It seems the political parties are not reading. They are not listening. And the INEC has a legal chain on its hand. nobody knows who is in charge of coordinating political parties. We know who is in charge of coordinating civil society. We know who is in charge of coordinating the media. We know who is in charge of coordinating ad hoc staffs. But we don't know who is in charge of coordinating the plethora of political parties we have. We have so many political parties. Do we need all the political parties? 91 on the ballot box, on ballot paper? These are some of the questions that we need to engage going forward. Who is in charge of educating the political parties on the do's and don'ts of the electoral process? Just giving them these guidelines doesn't entail that they are going to imbibe it. One of your guests made mention of the issue of party internal democracy. It has been the conundrum we've had in most of our electoral processes, and it's also playing out in Kogi State. In terms of political parties, many of these pre-election issues are in court, both for the ruling party and for the opposition party. We have some of these issues still playing out in courts because the parties do not follow their constitutional internal democracy of how they select who the candidate is or how they perform their constitutional duties. And so I think going forward, one of the things both the Independent Electoral Commission will do with civil society and other stakeholders is map out a strategy of how do we engage political parties, engage their candidates, and engage their internal processes to ensure that they are the ones, they ensure that these processes lead to credible elections, because those processes are the ones that virtually lead us to where we are today, which is the coalition point. Without good internal policies and guidelines, we will not have credible elections.
Okay, now a lot of people say the powers vested on the executive is much, and probably there is need to whittle this down in order to reduce some form of desperation or something of the sort.
The framers of our laws and our constitution that give the executive so much powers, I think in their mindset they believe that we are going to elect people of good character, good morals, good values. And so when you give somebody of good moral and good character enormous powers, he understands that it comes with responsibility, comes with a sense of patriotism that goes with wielding that much power. But when you leave this much power in the hands of those who don't understand what power is supposed to be used for, we get ourselves in this kind of situation where we are now. I think it's high time we begin to look at elections more than just a process. Rather, it should be a way of life for us. Our democracy should be a way of life where we groom leadership in terms of let them understand that these powers is not changing laws. Whether we can whittle down the executive power to a point where it becomes meaningless. Whoever gets that power will not be able to use it for what it's supposed to be used. Because the executive is supposed to be able to carry out things on behalf of the people, and they need a lot of these powers to help them do that. And so when we begin to whittle it down, because some of us do not have the capacity in terms of the upbringing and the learning and the knowledge that it requires for us to wield those powers, we're making a mockery of the system. So what we need to do is to ensure that those who will wield these powers are those who are qualified to wield the powers, and that's essentially what the elections are supposed to be. Yes. But unfortunately for us, this is not what we do. Okay. You can see how it plays out in Kogi State. Yes. Instead of issue-based electionary and campaigns, we had primordial sentiments playing out. Okay. You are tall, you are short, you are fat, you are slim. It doesn't make sense. Okay. And because of that, when we continue on this path, we keep having this kind of challenges when it comes to our electoral system in terms of what is the quality of the person who should wield this executive power.
Yeah, precisely, Hamza. Talking about the electoral system, the elections have become so expensive, and funds needed for infrastructural development, for lights, for roads, for all kinds of infrastructure is used for election expenses. Now, how do we begin to look at how we can bring the cost of running our elections low?
Because we, for lack of a better phrase, we lack the capacity and the quality to run the democratic process. We are always suspicious of each other. And because of this suspicion, we're trying to use technology and resources to outwit each other in terms of how to make the process more free and fair. Other democracies, you don't print ballot papers outside your state. Why should the ballot paper be more expensive than the naira you are carrying in your wallet? Why should we mobilize 35,000 security agencies or security personnel for just an election for one day because we want to elect one person that will lead you in a state? Why should we have more than 10,000 ad hoc staff to run the system for one day. By the time you put this together, the economics of our democracy is a little bit too much to swallow, looking at the fact that we are, in Kogi State presently, we're close to 4 million. The amount of money that was used for this election will be enough to do a lot of things for us in terms of economic advantage to play for us. This is excluding what the state itself is spending. This is excluding what the politicians and the political parties are spending in terms of campaigns. This excludes what the citizens in themselves will lose on election day, because we kind of we block and stop everybody from moving on election day, and economically we are at zero. Nobody has sat down yet to look at what is the cost to the people, to the state, for this our kind of democracy. And I think it's unless we begin to build better citizens who engage the system, looking at taking the fact that it is they that the system should work for. They are the ones that are going to benefit from the system, and so they need to make the system work better. Unless we begin to have those kind of people, we are going to keep having this, because election is the most expensive thing we're doing right now. The most expensive thing that comes out from our budgets every 4 years is elections. It's not supposed to be so. This money, like you said, can go into better things for us to do.
Yeah, I must thank you, Hamza, for your input on the program, Kogi Decides. And that's it from here, from our Lokoja studios. We will be handing over back to Abuja, but remember that we will be back tomorrow for the concluding 2 local government areas right here. Thank you for being with us, and it's back to you in Abuja.
Thank you very much, Ifeanyi Okafor, and we enjoyed the position of your guest there, and some of the positions he has pointed out are things that we have been talking about since Friday, and we still continue to talk. Now, Mike, I want to ask you, it's not just him that has said that. The general picture we get, particularly from these 2 elections we are on with, is that there is a categorization of the reasons why this election has gone the way it has gone. People seem to want to say INEC has done fairly well enough, but that other stakeholders have not followed in the line of INEC. And other stakeholders would include politicians, of course, number one, then security, and then the people themselves. In fact, pass marks are being given to the people for coming out. What can we do to make these stakeholders fall in line with the rules of the system?
I think, Femi, for me, the first set of, or the first category of stakeholders we must focus attention on is the political class itself. And when Hamza talks about engagement, I'm not quite sure the kind of engagement he's talking about. But since 1999, just like Jide had mentioned earlier on, there have been series of engagements with the political class. But what has refused to change is the attitude of the political class and their approach to the quest for power.
Would it be that it's because we have not stopped this, whether it's done by the political class or not, the system, the Nigerian people have not stopped this thing of the end justifies the means. The political class engages in the end justifies the means, they get it, and they don't care how they get it.
Even if that were to be the case, there is a slightly higher level of expectation for members of the political class. And the reason is simple. These are people who are aspiring to power at various levels. And for those kinds of people, one would expect a slightly higher level of, in terms of their conduct, in terms of their approach to power and all of that. We have in advanced democracies situations where opposing candidates will call the other, the usual phone call, One hopes and expects that our political class will get the point where you're able to pick up the phone and say, I congratulate you, Jide, on your victory. It doesn't happen overnight. It is about their conduct, it is about their approach.
After the election has been done.
Yes.
People who choose to kill each other before election.
This is precisely
the ones who.
This is precisely what I'm saying. I mean, and it's probably something that we may not leave just to the political class itself. They have shown very clearly, or we have shown very clearly, that we're unable or we're unwilling to deal with these issues in a way in which, I mean, they can't be left on their own to deal with. I think they need someone from the outside, you know, to help them deal with these issues. Because I can't understand why you are aspiring to office or you're aspiring to power, and the only way you can do that is to maim others or to send a few persons here and there to cause mayhem or to even bring about loss of lives, you know. This is something we must really sit down. I mean, Hamza talks about engagement. I'm coming back to him again, but what level of engagement? Because if it is workshops, trainings, sensitization, mobilization, all these have been done since 1999. So why is the attitude of politicians to power not changing? And one of the things, Femi, is there is a lot of attraction to power in Nigeria because of the benefits that accrue to office holders. And I think this is a conversation that we must have at various levels. What does power bring to an average politician? And what is it that this does to his quest for power? Why is it that we're ready to do anything, including sacrifices, to be able to get into office? This is the question we need to ask ourselves, you know.
Possibly because once you get into office, your word every other thing, nobody can question you anymore.
Precisely, but should that be the case?
System, a system where someone in power can be questioned. Jide, what do you say about that? Into us political. Yes, let's understand that they want to get into office and now they get into the office. Possibly it's not just the monetary benefit, the fact that their word is final. And we see that in what we are talking about, how they succeed each other, how they pick candidates. The man at the top is God.
Well, it's a thing God, not God.
It is God.
The issue for me is I disagree with you when you said our system has not built, has no inbuilt checks and balances.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say, for the people in power, the system does not encourage other people to make inputs into what the man at the top does.
No, it does. The system does. It's just that we have institutionalized alongside a culture of impunity because we have refused to sanction appropriately those who have breached the system.
That's true.
We have principle of separation of power, rule of law. We have all of these borrowed ideas from Western democracies. But when it comes to Nigeria, are you following the impeachment inquest into Donald Trump in U.S.? His officers are even testifying against him.
And they are remaining
this is a sitting president, not a former president. We are not talking of George Bush. We are not talking of Obama.
Just what I'm asking.
That's the system.
Just what I'm asking.
The system here has also brought about a kind of that. Yes, you have immunity from arrest and prosecution, but you can be investigated. Our system
or at least you can be, even if it's not a crime, if not a criminal matter, at least you can be questioned for a position you take.
Yes, but let's look at it this way. Why do people kill and maim for power? It's primitive accumulation of wealth, bordering on criminal intent for personal aggrandizement. Now, people have said, let's demonetize politics.
Yes.
I'm a student of politics. I'm also a practitioner, not a politician, but I build capacities, I do research, I do advocacy. And over the years, over the last 2 decades that I've been involved in this sector, I've discovered, to my chagrin, that the greatest challenge we have is impunity. It's not the laws. The laws are there.
That's true.
Do you know that the system of reward is not so it's not so juicy as to cause us to maim and kill, but for corruption. All we do in killing, maiming, and primitive accumulation is about corruption of the system. Now, there was an altercation between Yakubu Dogara, former speaker, and incumbent governor of Kaduna State in 2017 or thereabout. And El-Rufai came out publicly with his payslip. And what does he read? 750,000 before tax for a governor, a sitting governor. After tax, it came to about 550 something thousand. Will you kill and maim? Invest 5-10 billion to become a governor if you are receiving that and maybe obstacles when you travel. Is that what you kill and maim for? But no, certainly it is about the influence peddling. It's about what you can
determine people's.
But it's also about security votes, Jide. Don't forget that.
That's what I'm saying. But that is the corruption I'm talking about. Because the security vote that is being abused is not meant for the personal comfort of the governor. It is meant to provide security. And did you know, sir, early in this year, nobody had come out to challenge or sue the acting chairman of EFCC when he said that some governors would deliberately orchestrate insecurity in their domain in order to justify these security votes. I mean, it tells you a story that, this state is too peaceful. So kill or maim a couple of people who just cause disaffection here so that you draft policemen and say,
we're spending on security,
purchasing this and that, all because you want to corruptly enrich yourself. Because this security vote is not for you to just pocket. It is to provide security, to aid in ensuring that law and order is maintained in your domain. We have seen instances where these governors are the one that are even orchestrating insecurity. So that is the corruption I'm talking about. If you remove and fight corruption to a standstill, you will be looking for people to become governor. They will be running away if it will not be advantageous to them. But the system is so that, do you know how many states that you cannot access their budget? You cannot see. All you see is that budget being read on the floor of the State House of Assembly. What is passed, how it is passed, who is implementing is not accessible anywhere. The federal budget can be accessed on the website of the budget office. But for many states, beyond the copy that the governor takes to the State House of Assembly, which will be passed 100% as is presented, barely a week after his presentation by His Excellency, no other person, no civil society will see that budget. So whether it's padded or not padded, whether it's the same thing that he said he has done previous year, nobody is questioning. You cannot question what they did not see. And if you make some noise, you can be picked up. There is a case of a journalist in one South state for abusing his governor. I don't want to mention him. For abusing the governor, is now being alleged to have committed a treason of wanting to overthrow the state government.
How is that possible?
So how is that possible? Because you have a disagreement with your sitting governor. So when people say the civil society is too docile, we are not talking enough. Who wants he said to be used to break coconut? He will never live to eat it. The bottom line is that the civil space has been constricted at the state level, so much so that you can see what played out in Kogi. Your deputy accused you of abuse of office. The State House of Assembly should ordinarily have called the deputy governor and said, Your Excellency, can we have facts and figures about these claims, which is libelous, which borders on criminal defamation of character. So come and prove it. There was no invitation extended to the man. The next thing is that you sack him from the party, then you set up a committee. The committee sat and said they did not find the man culpable. But what did you do? The same day you received that report, instead of saying, oh, the committee that we set up, they didn't find the man culpable, let him stay. You remove him and replace him almost over the weekend. So this impunity, when you have it repeated,
who will correct our political atmosphere that we all say is not the ideal? Who will correct it? Are we expecting the politicians to correct it? Is it not the people who will correct it? The same people you say are being intimidated. They've just, the facts are unfolding over these two elections. We are already getting a picture from the two states. The picture we are getting from Bayelsa is that somebody is paying the price of being a godfather. But the picture we are getting in Kogi is quite the reverse. The picture is that somebody is going to get away with whatever inadequacies people say he's no. Who is it? Not the people, the same people, either through elections or through advocacy after elections. 4 years, you get into office, you don't allow a governor to continue to do whatever he wants to do until after election.
Yes. So, Femi, there are factors at play.
Yes.
And I want to revisit the position Jide has taken, and to say that I think there has been some slight improvement within the last few years in terms of putting in place a process that will ensure the separation of powers he speaks about. There's a certain level of autonomy that state assemblies and the judiciary and, of course, the executive branch of government are expected to enjoy over the next few years. And for me, this is like a step in the right direction. I think what we now need is, first, legislators that are courageous enough to say that we are really independent and we will assert ourselves in the process of governance. That is one. Two, we also need to see judges, members of the judiciary now, that will insist on almost a pristine, application of the law. By the time we have these two branches of government working in the direction in which we have created a process around, there might be some improvement. Number two, yes, we talk about the people holding elected leaders accountable. But we must qualify these people that we talk about. It must be an empowered people. It is not just anybody who is, thinking in terms of my wife is in the hospital and I'm not thinking about, I'm thinking about the next meal, not even the drug she will take. Or my daughter is going back to school and I have, issues with school fees and all of that. Are these issues that we're going to deal with in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Certainly not. But we must propel ourselves in the direction where we have an empowered citizenry. I think in terms of information, we have not done too badly. Since 1999, we have sufficiently, in my view, mobilized the Nigerian citizenry towards political participation. What we need now is to move to the next step. Not the next level, the next step.
Nothing wrong in moving to the next level. Now, in doing this, let's begin to what possibly would wish to do is to look at figures and interpret these figures from the various local governments in Bayelsa and in Kogi. But eventually, when we look at the figures, we would still come back to some of the analysis of people like you and the analysts we have had, that some of these figures don't reflect the wish of the people. Now, how do you know at election time that a figure does not reflect the wish of the people, when that's a figure that comes out, how can analysts sit down anywhere they are and say, no, this figure does not reflect? Because they've given you a figure. And that's the problem of the current democracy. There is a presumption that these figures are correct. And that's what the court works with. But you as an analyst cannot come and say these figures do. And yet it is allowed in politics to say, no, these people normally would wish to vote this way. How do we do this in this climate, in this present position? Using these figures and looking at them and say, no, these figures don't reflect the reality on the ground.
The issue of sexing up figures did not start today. And what we need to understand is that civil society organizations are not just crying foul or wanting to be a wet blanket or being paid to do what we are doing. It is about historical analysis of certain things. You can't tell me in an election where the average voter turnout is less than 50%, in one local government we will now have 90% turnout. And then in that local government,
can you go to court based on this as assertion?
No, it goes beyond going to court on that assertion. People are on ground to monitor the process.
Yes.
They were accredited. I don't know exactly how many observer groups were accredited, but I know that quite a number of them, a handful of them, over 50 of them must have been accredited for Bayelsa and Kogi, including international observers.
Yes.
So these people went round and saw things for themselves. So they are first eyewitness. We had Chief Michael earlier in the day, who just came back from Kogi this morning, was giving us a live witness account. So when you see
at the end of it all, GD, no matter how incredible the election looks, once an announcement is made, that person remains in government.
That is part of the jurisprudence as we speak, that our framers of Constitution and Electoral Act deliberately put in order to make the to give electoral integrity. But the reverse is now the case. That Section 68 was deliberately put there so that no person can unduly influence an alteration of what the people have done. But what we have now seen is politicians compelling at gunpoint for those collation and returning officers to make a wrong declaration. Now, unfortunately, the courts are not giving substantial justice. They are giving judgment. And a lot of decisions.
What's the difference?
The
judgment may not be based on justice.
Yes, they are judgment, but they are not justice. So, because it's like what happened earlier. A lot of us will say, why have electoral offenders not been prosecuted? And what many Nigerians do not know or choose to ignore is because of the nature and character of our court system. He who alleges must prove. And if you make criminal allegations against somebody, I know you are a lawyer and a judicial correspondent of long standing, you must prove beyond reasonable doubt. Now, proving beyond reasonable doubt then means that you cannot just write a statement. In many instances that we have talked about today, there was an electoral haste in Bayelsa or in Kogi, there was invasion, there was this, there was that. How many of that are backed up with statements to the police or to the authority? They are made on social media, they are made on YouTube, and that's where it is. Now, even as only without considering that you even go to make that statement, that I am an accredited observer in Kotonkafe. I witnessed disruption, I witnessed violence, and the result was collated. It shouldn't have done. Police will say, okay, we have taken your evidence, we will investigate. That investigation may not be concluded until 5 months' time. Now, you are no longer you went to Kogi or Bayelsa to observe, you have come back to Abuja. Now,
or elsewhere.
6 months after, they are summoning you to come to Bayelsa or to Kogi to give
evidence of what you have, the statement you have made. Now, somebody sent you a text message, if you go there, you are a dead meat. What do you do? Or on your way, you are ambushed, and you know, the gun is put to your head and say, if you go there, even if you escape, we know your wife, we know your family. These are the realities that we contend with. So a lot of people are scared to go and give evidence, even when they are eyewitness accounts. And the court will not take sympathy and say, you know what, we know you are under threat. So we will deal with the exhibit that is before. You must come and be cross-examined on the statement and the position that you have made. And that is the standard practice globally. But do we have whistleblower protection in place in Nigeria? The policy we have is not comprehensive enough. I cannot risk my life to go and give evidence of electoral fraud when I'm not sure that I will leave that place alive. Now, Mike, let's go a little deeper into our political atmosphere. And we were discussing this before we went to Lokoja for Ifeanyi Okafor's interview. We were talking about why the political class still insist on having particular candidates succeed them, even when we see from past experiences that sometimes this insistence backfires. And we saw it in 2015, part of what PDP suffered in 2015, and it still continues up to today. Governors insist that this is a particular person. You would expect that governors would have learned their lessons, particularly when 6 months, 3 months into the new governors,
they are no longer on talking terms.
You would expect that they would have learned their lessons, but it is still happening now that political people, instead of selling, like DJ mentioned, selling
the preferred
their candidates to the people, they insist on bringing someone.
So Femi, there is a whole issue of orientation that we must deal with. So sometimes it is not like the person in power really wants to maybe assert himself or circumvent the process or whatever, but you're orientated, you the holder of power and those who behold your holding of power are all orientated in a way in which they see the leader or the governor in this case, for instance, as the Omega and the Almighty, and whatever he says is the word. We have seen this backfire, and for me it's really very unfortunate. The situation, particularly in Bayelsa, shouldn't be happening, especially after what we saw in Zamfara and in neighboring Rivers State. This goes to show that our political class has not really learned the lessons that they should learn in this current democratic dispensation. Since 1999, we have had cases of godfatherism and all of that, and how it has backfired, and how it has even rubbed off into what we call democratic dividends. And one will expect that at this time, we will allow internal democratic processes. And here, it's not just about governors or strong men and all of that, but it's about the political party itself. What are the core values upon which political parties are formed and upon which they operate?
These political parties are run and funded by these individuals.
Yes, but should that be the case? Because there is a way in which we can circumvent this current process where one money bag will basically cover the cost of a political party in such a way that he determines basically who goes into office, And earlier on we talked about the fact that there has been, sufficient mobilization, but it is something that we must sustain to the point where members of a political party will see themselves as stakeholders, not just in the political party, but in the development of our country, Nigeria. The political parties are not just owned by those who have spent money or our leaders and all of that, because you would definitely need people to come out on election day and cast their votes. You will need people to campaign. You will need people to do all kinds of things. So we must see ourselves as equal stakeholders in the political process. For me, this is one way. And I need to revisit some of the issues raised by Jide. In 2015, something very interesting happened, and I think, Femi, you covered this. There was a case concerning the primaries of the candidate of the APC into the House of Representatives from Vandikia, Konshesha Vandikia Federal Constituency.
Yes. That's a man,
Hembe and Mato. Yeah. Mato and Hembe, rather. It went right up to the Supreme Court. In the judgment of the Supreme Court, the August Court was very specific that we are a policy court, and we will set the standard for all other courts in Nigeria to follow. And they came up with a very novel judgment. We declare that Hembe was wrongly returned. Mato will come in. It didn't stop there. All the salaries that had been earned by Hembe and all of that were to be refunded. I thought that was something that will send a message not just to the political class, but also to politicians. Subsequently, we have not seen any such judgments, whether in the Federal High Court or in the State High Courts or even in the Court of Appeal.
How are we, in fact, to verify if that reform?
No, I don't think it has happened. I don't think it has.
You are even talking about subsequent ones. The one that the Supreme Court made pronouncement on. Is there any means by which we can verify?
I doubt very much if it has.
That is what we're talking about. I'm asking about the system forcing politicians to do some things that they don't even would wish not to do.
If I may weigh in here, first I need to build on what my friend here said. It's not only in that Konshesha Vandikia judgment. In fact, in the case of the two buses in Akwa Ibom or Cross River, similar judgment was made that the usurper should refund. There are about 5 that are documented. The Supreme Court decisions on nullifying and asking the usurper
to
refund all the salaries. Whether they did refund is another discussion altogether. Nobody has done a follow-up story to know whether those refunds were eventually made. But having said that, the situation we found ourselves is that our political actors and gladiators have behaved very badly, like an incorrigible child, that no matter how much you scold, beat, punish, he will never. In fact, if you take him to juvenile home,
it gets worse.
Why did I say so? We just had Rivers
and Zamfara.
Supreme Court punishing the party. This year. And you would not have expected that there will be a repeat
of the same thing.
So it then tells you that it goes beyond the court trying to whip people into line. Supreme Court has consistently articulated this in different opinions I've written which were published about documenting some of the what I call judicial activism. Recall that even that we are having 7 off-cycle elections was part of judicial activism. It was because the politicians behaved badly that made us not to have all governorship elections on the same day. Some of them. It started way back from 2003 election down to 2006 in Anambra, when the court said, look, you didn't win this election. And then your tenure starts to count.
The interventions I keep making are such as to look for solutions to this. Is it a helpless situation? Are you saying that there's nothing we can do about our political class
there is a
having the last word when the system says otherwise?
No, we are not in an helpless situation, but the alternative to what the court is doing is what we should not push Nigerians to do, which may be anarchical. We've seen revolutions all over the African continent. It's part of what pushed people to go on protest. You saw what happened in many countries around Africa, in Zimbabwe, in Tunisia,
presently now in
Egypt, in Guinea, in
You forgot to mention Egypt. The Arab Spring.
Tunisia, Egypt, even Libya, and all of that. It's the people forcing the system to correct itself. Because in those countries, the judiciary was trampled upon, the institutions of government were used against the people, and people said, no more. If you want to kill all of us, kill all of us. But we are not going to. And that is what we are pushing Nigerians to get to. Because when issues cannot be resolved any longer with the ballots, and the judiciary is trying to intervene, you say, look, you are saying your own. We will win, technically or not technically, we will be declared. Because now the refrain amount of the winner is go to court. And you know, when it goes to court, you raise all manner of technicalities. You know he has only 180 days, and within that 180 days, you can do whatever you like. Waste the time of the court, raise objections, interlocutory motions, all manner of things, just to do. So when people feel that going to court or tribunal is going to be a useless, a circumcision,
waste of resources.
So what would they do? They resort to self-help. And when you resort to self-help, you may not be able to control the magnitude of what will be the consequence of such action of people.
Thank you, viewer, for remaining with us. I just want to remind you that there is a break in Yenagua to compute the local governments, the 8 local governments. All of them have been announced. We have a good picture as to where the pendulum is swinging in Bayelsa State. Of course, we have the figures here, but we are not statutorily empowered to make the eventual declaration. That's why we are remaining here to wait for the declaration. But because we have the figures, let's go into them as much as we can and play the devil's advocate, see what may have happened, why this twist in Bayelsa State. A state that has previously been called a traditional PDP state. From what the figures we have had, certainly that has changed. Let's Obia local government. APC swept that. Now, before this election, analysts have predicted the number of local governments that APC or PDP were likely to have. But nobody knew that it was going to be almost a clean sweep. Obia went to APC, and we have 58,016 going to APC, and 13,000, such a gap. What do you know about Ogbia local government? It's certainly not the local government where the APC candidate comes from.
No, APC candidate is from Southern
Ijo, yes.
But Ogbia is, I think, Bayelsa East, which is under the control of APC from the last general election. That's you remember I said the running
senators,
the running mate to David Lyon,
yes,
is from the Bayelsa East, and that's the senatorial district of the former president.
Okay.
So, given the fact that the senatorial district is under the control of APC before coming into this election, and given the fact that the intra-party crisis in PDP has also worsened their case. There was no cohesion. A lot of people defected from PDP to APC. Some of them are chieftain of PDP, now working for the opposition APC. Beyond and above that is the allegation from the camp of PDP of the invasion, the soldiers' invasion of the coalition center, and the fact that the GOC allegedly aided and abetted APC in the election. That has not been substantiated. That is coming from the countryman governor, Eriseriake Dixon. So there are a lot of allegations, but the one I know is that when a senatorial district belongs, that usually is in the hands of the ruling party, suddenly goes to the opposition ahead of a governorship election, then you know
the
that
signs are clear.
The signs are clear that there will be consolidation. And don't also let us forget the fact that the Minister of Petroleum Resources, Timi Presiva, is from Bayelsa State. And as the leader of the party in the state, he wants to deliver to the center. And it will seem he has succeeded. So whether there are some underhand dealings in making sure that there is a shellacking of PDP in Ogbia, the jury is out there. We do not have conclusive evidence of whether there was any rigging in favor of APC. But suffice to say that what I know is that out of the 3 senatorial districts, the south and the central is in PDP, and the east is in the hands of APC. So the building on that initial success, they possibly were justified to have won in Ogbia.
Mike, let's go to Yenagoa, and that is the state capital. Traditionally, across the country, state capitals, because they are metropolitan, they are always difficult to manipulate. But then, that is always the seat of government. You would expect that the incumbent, whoever is the governor, would have a direct impact on the votes there. But what we have in Yenagoa is quite different. APC again having 24,607 to PDP's 19,184.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was hoping Jide will bring in the angle of protest votes, the possibility that we had protest votes, and I think this is clearly what has happened in Yenagoa. Like you rightly pointed out, this is the seat of government, and there's been a lot of disaffection, Femi. Let's not deceive ourselves. There's been a lot of disaffection, particularly within the PDP in Bayelsa State. Don't forget, like Jide pointed out, this is the home state of a former president who was elected on the platform of the PDP. So there is an expectation that it will traditionally go the way it has always gone. But that we are beginning to see APC come up with these kinds of votes tells anyone who wants to hear or see that there is something wrong somewhere, you know. And we have seen cases. I want to use the case of Benue to illustrate. Most times in Benue, Makurdi, which is the state capital, usually goes against the incumbent you know.
Yes, incumbent party.
Exactly, the incumbent party. So in 1999, when Senator George Akume, current Minister of Special Duties, was elected governor on the platform of the PDP. In 2003, if I'm not mistaken, I think the PDP lost Makudi local government. I think it happened again during the time of Suswam, you know, if I get my facts right. But the point I guess I'm making is what has happened in Bayelsa is not really strange. You know, it has been a traditional PDP state, so one might be a bit taken aback that APC is coming from nowhere, but this has happened elsewhere also, and particularly the fact that we're seeing some level of protest because of the internal disaffection that has happened within the PDP itself.
Okay. And now BRAS, we go to BRAS local government. A total of 67 registered voters.
67,000.
67,000, sorry, registered voters. 35 were accredited for this election, and 23,831 went to APC again, and then 10,000, a distant 10,410 going to PDP. What? The same trend, possibly, Jide?
Yeah, this does not come as a surprise. This is the local government of the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timmy Presiva, and being the leader of the party.
It would have been surprising.
It would have been surprising if he loses his home local government. And I think one thing we must not, apart from protest votes, which Oremi alluded to, which I agree to, is also that after 20 years in the PDP, the Bayelsans are asking themselves,
what have we
benefited in these 20 years? Where is the development? Can we afford another 4 years of opposition politics? Because from 2015, when power changed at the center, they became party in opposition in Bayelsa. And people, they should come and ask us in Southwest. For how many years? 16 years, we were playing opposition politics. So, you want a road project, they say you are in opposition, so you didn't vote for us. You want a federal project, they tell you, well, maybe you voted for opposition. So sometimes people get tired of opposition politics, particularly for an environment that has been so used to
one party
and connecting with the center. So the slogan,
there tends to be a sense of arrogance from that party that has dominated over years, and
that is one.
Yes.
But more importantly is that when the campaigns are going on, what were people being told? That look, your lot will be better if you belong to the party at the center, rather than continue in opposition politics for another 4 years. So belong to the center, and then you have all of your noble desires, and that may have been part of what we are seeing. BRAS going to APC with the influence of Timmy Presiva, it's not a surprise.
And Femi, two things come out here, and both of them positive things. One, and I totally agree with Jide that we have gotten to a stage where we're having an electorate that is a bit more rigorous in making its political choices. You know, we have an electorate that is asking questions. What have we benefited within the last 20 years or so? Shouldn't we try something different? And for me, this is a positive development. If really this is the situation in Bayelsa, then this is a positive development.
If that is the mind of the people.
Exactly. Yes. If it is not as a result of rigging and all of that, then it's a good development for our democracy. That is one. Two, we're beginning to see a situation where two political parties are clearly coming out as the leading political parties in Nigeria. We probably saw this in 2015, but it's becoming a lot clearer now in 2019 with the general election and what we have seen in the off-cycle elections. You know, it's no longer a situation where PDP was just there or APC was just there. We now have two gladiators, if you like. Number three, I think the situation Jide describes calls for a re-evaluation of the kind of federalism we practice in Nigeria. Why should the choice of a party that a state goes to be determined on the basis of the links or relationships between that state and the federal government? You know, why should a state be tied to the apron strings of the federal government in making its choices and all of that? This is something that we need. I mean, political scientists like Jide and others might need to revisit this issue as we look towards improving our democracy.
What are the elements? Let's go to Kolokoma local government. What are the elements in Kolokoma that makes it possible, in spite of what we have all said now, for PDP to hold on fast with 15,360, while APC has 8,935. What is in Kolokoma? Possibly Dixon's base?
No.
No.
It is the local government of the candidate of APC, the PDP. That's Senator Diri. He is from Kolokoma or Pokuma. And for that singular reason, you don't expect him to lose his own local government. At least for the sake of our son. It's our son. Let's back him up. But you can see that the margin is not too much. The margin
is not much. See that? That's it.
This is just like 7,000 thereabout difference, but at least he won, and that means his people are still with him. And with the Kolokuma Okokuma shows that there are
just
at least two major. So no surprise that PDP won. They also want to, and incidentally, what I learned was that the stakeholders, the key stakeholders in Bayelsa were actually rooting for power to change, to move to this particular area. Remember that the first governor of Bayelsa is from Southern Ijo, and that's the former governor, DSP Alamesia, who is from Amasoma, and that is in Southern Ijo. Now David Lau is also from Southern Ijo, and that means within a space of 20 years, Southern Ijo, you will have...
Thank you very much. I think they are very ready now in Yenagua to do the final set of announcement that will bring in a new governor for Bayelsa State. I'm sure the computation, the collation has been finished, and so let's hand over straight to the collation center in Yenagua.
922562. Then the number of accredited voters 51788. 51788. The performance of each party. A party. One, 3, 3, 9.
What?
A party. AAC 174. AD 91. ADP 120. AGAP 30. AMP 21, APA 157, APA 157, APC 352 552, APAG, sorry, APGA 98, APM 25, APP 149.
No, okay.
ASD double two, like 22. BNPP 7, CAP 18, CMP double two, DA 909, DPC 148, DPP 96, FJP 24, Fresh Party 283, JPN 7, HDP 10, KP 61, LM 100, LP 79, MNN 14, MPN 9, NCP 30, NDLP 6, NMPP 7, APC 108, NRM 03, NUP 27, PDM 156, PDP 143 172, PPA 56, PPP 42, PROP 88, SNC 42. UDP 10. UP 25. UPC 37. UPN 05. UPP 20. ZLP 53. So the party agents, please come over. Total valid votes 499,551. Rejected votes 6333. So total vote cast. Sorry? Total valid votes 499,551. Votes, rejected votes 6333. 6,333. Total votes cast 505,884. 505,884. So, party agents, come forward. Please. I've not declared. It's state by state. So, you should get it. You should get it, huh? Please, let's be orderly, please.
Please, we are going to go through it orderly. A party,
please,
to the last party. Please. A party. APM. Press hard, okay? The second line. Yes, you just sign your signature. Okay. Yeah, that's a space. You've already taken. That's okay. All right. FJP. That's the second that line there. You write your name, then signature. Yes, just manage it. NCP. 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 NCP, not around, okay? PPP. PPP. All right, next party. AAC. Which party? PP, okay. And then AAC. All right, this way. The first column here. All right. APP. Then fresh party, get ready. This, yeah, APP here. Fresh.
Not old, not fresh again.
NDLP. Yeah. PRP. PRP. AD. ASD. GPN. NNPP. SNC. ADP. BNPP. HDP. NPC. UDP.
You don't go.
ABGA. No, sorry, AGAP. AGAP. CAP. KP. NRM. Is that NRM? Okay. UP. UP up. NRM. Yes. UP. Can I just shout something? Like that's what. Okay. All right. ANP. CNP. LP. Sorry, LM. LM. And I think this NUP or NDP, which is the NUP.
Are you traumatized?
That is what?
Don't you confused?
UPC. UPC. The last line there.
Oh, boy, this man too much.
APA.
Isaac.
DA.
You see the difference? Yes. Yeah. You see the margin? APC 352. 143. 172.
All right. LP.
Absent.
PDM.
Go home.
UPN. Okay. UPN. Okay, last slide. Then APC, get ready. APC. First line here. Yes, APC here. Initial then signature.
Our fresh party.
DPC. MMN. We have passed that one. MMN. We'll come back to.
The candidates.
MMN.
Party chairman and one person.
Okay. PDP. You understand? Okay. UPP. Which? I wish they know that. All right. APGA. APGA. DPP. MPN. That's it here.
They don't get.
All right.
Actually, now they are bedroom in their factory.
PPA.
They can't say they don't collapse.
ZLP. Come, just come and identify your column, then you sign. PDM. That's it. PDM, yes, this column here. Your initial, then your signature. Yes, sir. SMC.
The lawyers.
Have you signed your signature, sir? That's why I said the name is not long. That's why I said just initial and your signature. Okay, sir. All right. I think that's right. Then SMC. I saw that. Okay, here. SMC.
Green. Don't my back. To my side.
Sir. No, it's not. It's one. Right, thank you very much.
You are not this, I don't go through there.
So collect their card.
See, I caught you. Would you go inside? Always
So if you get size inside, at least if you get the max saying so how come this they get zero?
No.
That's a wrong sign.
It is substantial. No.
The figure for
what did I take? What did be the figure? Did they call them like A parts? Maybe the A parts. Maybe they are called now. Huh? 1339. That knows good. Yeah, try. I don't be so. Yes.
You know, say after that debate,
like 1,000.
9 people come to this device.
Yes. They believe say APC go lose out, PDP go lose out. So our compass will come stand. Therefore, a lot of people say that they consider accord party. They consider accord party. Try and take it out of the yeah, I think it's a say long. But come on,
Yeah, no.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. Hey. Oh, but my boy is the good. See, oh, my boy is low on our bus. See, Patrick, your boy is the one for you. Oh, they come here and do the year by year. Your wife, no, my boy, self. I'm hearing the talk self now. Our voice is
so, ladies and gentlemen, I, Professor Oromese Osaseri, hereby certify that returning officer for the Bayelsa State Governorship election of 2019.
Take it all over. This job, our job is serious. Take it all over, please.
Hello.
All true, sir.
If I'm true, Mike.
So, I go over again, huh? I, Professor Osasere Romancy, hereby certify that I am the returning officer for the Bayelsa State Governorship election held on the 16th day of November 2019. 2. That the election was contested. 3. The candidates received the following votes. 1. Episode Deria Party A collected or had got 1,339 votes. 1,339 votes. Kalongo Stanley Davis, AAC, got 174 votes. Owe Tongo Woniwe of AD got 91 votes. Elaga Adika Patrick, ADP, got 120 votes. Firefori Bob Manuel of AGAP, 30 votes. Tunde Noah of AMP got 21. Abe of APA 157 votes. Leon David of APC.
Take it again, sir. This one is not clear.
Leon
Change your mic, sir.
Leon David Perewon Remini of APC got 302,000.
Change your mic, sir.
5. So please, it got 352,552 votes. 352,552 votes.
What's his name?
Leon David Perewon-Remini.
Of which party?
Of APC. Number 9, Daniel Tonworio Benwari of ABGA got 98 votes. Ere Asier Miega Orwama of APM got 25 votes. Samuel Izibi Yamudu Dandy Joe of APP got 148 votes. Owotu Onyekwe of ASD got 22 votes. Joseph Gerebo of BNPP got 7 votes. Owe Fabo Felix Ebike Mefa of CAP got 18 votes. George Onume of CMP got 22 votes. Osele Anthony of DA got 9 votes. Yefa Feti Piggy Echi of DPC got 148 votes. Ogwara Negimoyo of DPP got 96 votes. Akusi Piles of JP got 24 votes. Priye Benson of Fresh got 283 votes. Zedua Gideon Roland in the year of JPN got 7 votes. Timipa Jenkins of Pere of HDP got 10 votes. Owebo Freedom of KP got 61 votes. With Vijad Edred Opoama of LM Party got 100 votes. Nomofe Ebiowe of LP got 79 votes. Okia Jones Daminola of MNN Party scored 14 votes. Clement Blessing Aze Banagba of MPN got 9 votes. Miebe Ikedu Ebipade of NCP got 30 votes. Kalas Aga of NDLP got 6 votes. Namatebe Inko Abraham of NMPP got 7 votes. Alex Akpebi Bufumo of NPC got 108 votes. Francois Tuamokumo of NROM got 3 votes. Augustus Ebimone Ogwom of NUP got 27 votes. Akalai Tasamana Women of PDM got 156 votes. Diri Dwoye of PDP got 142 votes. 143,172 votes. Alexander Peretu Beke Erede of PPA got 56 votes. Akiki Aprala of PPP got 42 votes. Okala Ozibola of PROP got 88 votes. Gwegwe Righteous Okpebi of SNC got 42 votes. Ikimi Ini Baraya Salas of UDP got 10 votes. Kenny Justice Sotoyen Fesiye of UP got 25 votes. Ibiene Sivun Krobo of UPC got 37 votes. Samuel Adaga of UPN got 5 votes. Williams, Woyekuro Berezi of UPP got 20 votes. Simeon Imomo Chimi Karioro of ZLP got 3 votes. Number 4, that Leon David Pereworini of APC, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and returned elected. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, God bless you. Pensioners will be paid. Roads will be constructed.
Where were you now? Control the distribution. Some of us are not signed. Give to the police, then give to the
Good. We'll take some questions. We want to
What do we ask for?
You are blocking my flash.
We can just successfully do that. It's been a very long day. It has culminated into the end of proceedings here at the State Collation Center. I've been able to get an observer, someone who monitored the proceedings right from when the votes began here in Yonogu. Very quickly, sir, we've come to the end of proceedings here at the State Collation Center. How would you describe the entire proceedings?
Yes, first and foremost, my name is Ide Oduasekwa. I am the State Director of National Orientation Agency. And in course of the monitoring, I saw that the narrative has changed. Before, the narrative in Bayelsa State had been a battle, not just election.
Please continue. This is to be expected. Of course, we actually expected it to be.
But for this election, it was the processes were as required. And you can see that there was election in all the local government areas, and at the same time there were no fights. Yes, we had pockets of slashing of ballot boxes and thuggery, but it was not massive as it used to be before. And that is as a result of the massive sensitization of the electorate. And even in this hall, you can see the consensus that people agreed to the fact that INEC had done well. And those of us who had been talking to people in order to change the narrative were also done well. And that's why the end result has been very, very fruitful. And almost everybody is happy that the elections had been like this. And it is
we have is already done enough for the people of Bayelsa as a private citizen and as governor. I believe that he will really do in the area of security, in the area of development, and of course in the area of transparency and proper management of our Commonwealth.
Okay, to the governor-elect.
Speak with us. Hello, sir. I'm pretty sure you, of course, you monitored proceedings right from when the vote actually began here for this particular elections and, of course, culminating in the announcement of a winner for the exercise. How would it...
Bayelsa for standing by us in voting APC. I believe this victory for APC is a victory for the people of Bayelsans. We remain loyal, respectful to serve Bayelsans. And we believe Bayelsa has gone through a lot of issues. We are here with the help of stakeholders, all Bayelsans, to amend and correct those mistakes. We are ready to serve them.
So you are saying you are going to hit the ground running?
Completely.
Gentlemen. Sorry, can you stand up so that when they ask you, they look straight?
No, I said 3 questions.
Oh, okay.
We can entertain just one more question and we're done.
Who wants that?
You've been in
Bayelsa
for a while. I'm sure this is very important to you. Now, victory at last. First of all, how do you feel about this victory, and what kind of difference should Bayelsans be expecting from their incumbent when he is sworn into office?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank Bayelsans for being free. I said it during the rally that you need to free yourself from bondage, and you have done that. And thank them again for good conduct during the election and after the election. It's unprecedented. It has never happened in Bayelsa where you have an election and not one single person was killed. This is commendable. We have to thank them for their restraint and for going all out to bring the needed change in their state. I thank them very well. I want to also thank President Muhammad Buhari for showing us the need to have peaceful and transparent election. We obeyed, and today we have seen the result. People have decided. Normally, in a region like this, you cannot take over government from an existing government. But because of the free and fairness of the electoral process and the listening ears that the Bayelsans have on the need to maintain security, we have seen the change that the Bayelsans so desire. And I assure you, following from the footsteps of our father, President Muhammad Buhari, your elected governor will do very, very well. And you are all aware that in his own business, he has been supporting people. He's a man of the people. And now, having the mentor to lead you, he will do exactly much more than what he's been doing before. And he is committed to the development of the people, like you all know. And that is why the election goes on without rancor, because everybody is yearning for change, and change has come to Bayelsa. And the federal government will give him all the needed support to transform Bayelsa.
Substitute the mic,
Of the 2019 state governorship elections were just announced by the chief returning officer. I've got someone standing close by. Yeah, we also monitored the exercise. Would you please introduce yourself and tell us what group you represent?
My name is Basim Ajusi. I represent CODA, Coalition for Democrats of Electoral Reform. That's the group I represent, observing the process of the election.
Very quickly, in a sentence, your thoughts on the process so far?
Well, the process was so fantastic, very credible. The way everything went on, in fact, the INEC, they are commendable. So
thank you so much. I've also got someone here. He's been on our panel a couple of times. We actually analyzed the situation here on the ground in Yonagwa with him for a couple of days since we arrived. We have come to the top, as it were, right now, to the head of proceedings right now with regards to the 2019 state governorship elections here in Bayelsa State. And this is the outcome as announced by the chief returning officer. Are you impressed?
Yeah, I'm impressed because it's the people's announcement. It is the people's vote. It is the people's citizen participation. And it is the concern of the people that have really bespoken. And the validity of the votes is indicated in the result. So as far as I'm concerned, those who voted, their votes they counted their vote, and their vote counts. So I believe that is very impressive. The general performance of INEC, security agents, citizens' participation was a good one.
In the days leading up to this exercise, there were concerns, several concerns as a matter of fact. During the elections, of course, concerns were also expressed. And now, I want to believe that you might have there might be some things you have considered as high points, and perhaps what are the low points for you with regards to this exercise?
The low point is the harsh condition given to the police officers. That they did not treat the police officers well, or they did not treat themselves well, because IG need to overall certain situation. The low point is that some people deploy themselves to area of their concern. Giving a low turnout to some polling units is a concern, because sometimes some of the area that ought to be 4-6 personnel, they move to an area of their interest for either phobia or for fear of violence or something like that.
And then the high points, we actually a couple of days ago with you on our panel talked about improvement in the process.
Yeah, there are a lot of improvements, especially logistics and security concern. There is a lot, even INEC staff's performance, there is a lot of improvement. And the haulage of INEC materials was very perfect.
Besides being an election observer, you're also a state, an elder in Bayelsa State, as it were. You run a group of concerned citizens of this state, as a matter of fact. The campaigns were quite fierce. There was tension. The results have been announced. It is now time for healing. What is your message to the people of
My message to the people that the results have been announced. We have to, those who contest should accept this defeat. You cannot, there is one man that will only win in a contest. About 45 political parties contested. And I am praying that they should carry them, at least the winner should carry the rest along. And we should work in unity. Divided we fall, united
we win. Thank you so much. Message of unity there coming from someone who's been on our panel for a couple of days. Well, this is just about it for Bayelsa Decides. We would stay back to give you, of course, more analysis from our studios in Abuja, where Femi Okiowo is standing by with a panel on set. But for now, we would be moving short in our studios in Yanagwa here, following the announcement, the formal announcement of results here by the chief returning officer. I'll just hand you over back to Femi in our studios in Abuja. Femi, it's over to you.
Thank you, Nnamdi. The voice of man is the voice of God, they say, and it would seem as if the people have spoken. And when people come together collectively and speak with one voice, God will always stamp it. Not bringing in God here just for the sake of it. It's like our people sometimes just throw away what they have in their hands to do and think that it's God that should do it for them. This time, the ballots have spoken and it has been allowed. This is a Onoge Fine Face is still there. Nnamdi has taken us.
Look, traditionally, the people of the South normally link up with the federal government and the people of the party of the federal government. And what they have done is to say, look, we were PDP when the federal government was PDP. Now the federal government is APC, and we are all returning to work with President Buhari of APC and the entire APC family. And of course, they are simply saying that Nigeria had honored them as the smallest state in the country, with the smallest local governments, 8 local governments, with the smallest population as it were. Yet Nigeria and Nigerians gave them the president of this country, they gave them the vice president, and made them president for a period of about 8 years. And so they are appreciating Nigeria for that and returning to hook up with the federal government of the all.
APC has 2 states in the South, and those 2 states are strategically positioned. One in the northernmost part of the South and the other in the southernmost part. And now we have APC with David Leon as the governor in Bayelsa State. What a distant position between the 2 parties. And again, this must be a clear sign of what the people want. When the people say they want something and the system allows them to speak and have what they want, it's always a positive political development, because the essence of the ballot is to have the people determine who they want to lead them. And here we have heard it said. Jide, let's have your comments first about this landmark twist in our political history.
Well, it's a landmark victory for APC. It's unprecedented 20 years into this Fourth Republic that you have a sitting party and government losing massively in the region of over 200 votes, about 209,380 votes, separating the winner from the loser. As an incumbent, that is a massive defeat.
Yeah.
And it is unprecedented in the political and electoral history of Bayelsa that a sitting government, this is not even a tight race.
It's not.
By any stretch. I mean, yes. 200, I was trying to do the math, 209,380 votes.
Yes.
Losing as an incumbent, supervised by an incumbent. No, it shows that all is not well within the camp of PDP.
Okay.
And you could see that even APC, all the party agents signed the result sheet.
What I was just going to put to Mike, it's, you see, when people talk about an election not going freely and fairly, there are indications to that. We did not see any such indication in Bayelsa. We had comments from the announcement, the hall, the collation hall, and it's like people were happy to say that we love this result. Even people who are not in any of the political parties.
Femi, I think each time we're at a point where we're almost in despair, really, or we're depressed, something comes
to
up
encourage us.
Precisely. And I
not
think
over yet.
what has happened in Bayelsa is a clear demonstration of this momentary, signs that show there is hope for this country. And in saying this, I really need to commend former President Goodluck Jonathan. I say this precisely because based on the antecedents of the PDP, whatever dissensions or whatever disharmony that has existed within the PDP in Bayelsa State could have been covered up as a family affair and the voice of the people probably subdued just so that the leadership of the party in the state could triumph. But I'm sure he rose above that parochial sentiment and decided that the people should, go in the direction they have chosen. So
if this people are disenchanted, let them show it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is a victory not just for the APC, but it is, to use a very common phrase here, it's a victory for democracy also. And it's a victory for Nigerian democracy also.
Let's run away from it. Don't let us make it look as if we always just want an opposition to win before we see democracy at play. Sometimes an incumbent too can win, and it can be the voice of the people.
Sure.
Yes. So in this case, the clear signs are that it's a turn, and that people, that's what they want. Yes.
It's clearly what they want. I mean, but Jide wants to weigh in, and I'll weigh in also.
On that.
Well, it's what people want, and like I said, this is an epochal event. It's epochal event in Bayelsa that for the first time, no life was reported lost. Even though 70% of Bayelsa is on water, people went, cast their ballots, their votes count, and they have made their choice. And this is true to certain pre-election observation reports that said that there might be an upset in Bayelsa. And you understand, people were more apprehensive about Bayelsa going to be a bedlam and hotbed of political crisis. It's going to be tug of war. It's going to be volatile. Yes, unfortunately, the major drawback that took a shine of this victory was the late commencement of voting, which Yaga Africa put as at 7:30 yesterday was put at 24%. Opening of poll as at 7:30. That means in many polling units, voting did not commence as scheduled. But be that as it may, barring and despite that logistical challenge, people kept faith and endured. On Friday, when we were doing pre-election analysis, your correspondents went to the jetties, and we saw people, old men, old women,
going back
to their
to
their homestead
in all excitement,
and saying that they were just 6 hours on ISIS to go and cast one ballot. And now it is not so much about, an upset has happened, and that's why we are commending this process. We are commending not only the process but also the outcome. That you for the first time you did not see any of the party agents even withdrawing assent. Everybody, including the party that lost,
queued up.
even signed the result sheet, which then means that in the face of it, in spite of the pockets of challenges here and there, in isolated places, the will of the people of Bayelsa has been allowed to prevail.
Is it the elites that allowed that to happen?
Well, yeah, to a certain extent, but also the people have also, like Jide said, have been sufficiently sensitized and mobilized to come out. And
so when the elites do not want it to happen, it won't happen?
Not really. I think, Femi, what has happened is that we are incrementally improving in the democratization process. We are every 4 years. Yes, there are cases where we take 2 steps forward and we take 5 steps backward and all of that. But at each turn, we make some level of progress. And I think Bayelsa has clearly manifested this progress that we have made.
And this also speaks to the fact, this also speaks to the fact that there are no more home advantage for any
or traditional basis of any party.
Yes. So
if you don't perform,
people will chase you out. Because with the myth has been that South is PDP and will remain PDP. Southeast is PDP, will remain PDP. We saw what happened in Imo, where APC produced a governor, and many of the political offices for some 6 years after the defection of Rocha Sokorocha from ABGA to APC. Now, the same system has moved again from APC to PDP. We saw in Benue, where my brother comes from, where, APC became...
We saw in Oyo too, where you come.
We saw in Bauchi, we saw in quite a number of places where irrespective, I mean, who will fault Oyo's result? You saw an incumbent governor losing a senatorial election. We saw in Gombe, a sitting governor, after 8 years, could not win a senatorial election. Which then tells you that, look at the result of Sokoto governorship election.
I think we should begin to wind up here, but the message is clear. Please allow the voice of the people to come out loud and clear anytime they want to speak. Don't allow us to take them, the voice of the people, for granted. And that is what we have seen here. This would occupy us a lot as political analysts begin to dig deep. There are so many things that have happened in Bayelsa State that did not come up. I'm sure with this result, you'll get to hear more and more of those stories. Thank you very much for staying on with this late night broadcast, and of course the end in this case has justified your sacrifice. We now have a result that shows where our trajectory of democratic development is heading. On behalf of Mike and Jide, sorry, please. And on behalf of the loads of other analysts that we have had over the last 2-3 days, and on behalf of the crew of the Nigerian Television Authority, crew and management, I am Femi Okewo, thanking you for being part of this. But our studios will still reopen at 9 o'clock tomorrow because the Kogi coalition is yet to be concluded. We certainly will be around to do that. Thank you and see you again.
The much talked about November 16 governorship and Kogi West rerun senatorial election is here.